Here is an example of a negative test case automated in Python for API. This is the API that we make an API call to create a customer without the password. We hit the send and we get a 400 status code and a response body that shows us what's wrong, and we're going to automate it. So when you're doing this in Postman, you're doing it manually, and then in Python, we are going to automate it. So again, just a bunch of imports. The credentials will come from environment variables to keep it safe. You don't want to put credentials in the code. Then we have this special auth object to create the authentication. We create a username, randomly generated a username, so we build an email. Then in the email, we just send the email. And in this case, let's just do the email to match the Postman. And in the payload, we know password is required, but we are only including email, so we know that it fails. The API is handling it correctly. The API is designed in a way that it should fail if the password is not there, right? So we got the URL and the header, and then we got the request, right? The request is a post call. We got the URL, the headers, the payload, and the authentication. So that's just a simple normal request. The request library, the most popular library in Python, that is the library we use to make API calls. Then we get the response. We actually printing the response. We printing it with pprint, so we can see it nicely formatted. I'll run it shortly and we'll see. Then the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check the status code of the response. When we look at the status code, if it's not 400, then we're going to throw an exception. If you see in Postman, we got a 400, so that is what we expect. And we throw an exception if it's not a 400. Then we look at the JSON body and we basically parse the JSON body. We make sure there is a key called code and the value is this guy here. Then we make sure there is the word password in the message. We're not confirming the full message. We're just checking that the word password actually shows up in the message. And we still continue to parse other fields of the response, right? The response have multiple fields. So all we're doing is verifying each field contains the expected message, right? So let's run this real quick. The file name is customers API negative missing password. So I'm going to do Python customers API negative, right? Let me just make this a little bigger, run it, and this basically just prints the response and the success message at the end. So this is how you would test an API using Python. That this is a standalone script, just doing one thing. It's not using a test framework. Normally you would have a framework, a test framework which have a collection of tests, so you could run a lot of tests at the same time. So this is just, if you learn to become an automation engineer and you're writing API tests, this is the kind of stuff you'll be doing. If you want to learn more about coding in Python and automation and software testing, make sure you give me a follow.